And while the CIA has not confirmed the authenticity of the trove of documents posted Tuesday by WikiLeaks, the agency did say the American public should be deeply troubled. The timing of the publication is also raising some questions. And CBS News Justice and Homeland Security correspondent Jeff Pegues is in Washington with me now. Jeff, good to see you.
Nice to see you, DeMarco.
WikiLeaks is notorious for its specific timing when it comes to releasing information. What do we know about the timing of this release?
Well, we know that investigators now looking into this disclosure, they're wondering about the timing of it all because they were aware of suspicious activity before this disclosure became public. And so the question is, why now? Why did WikiLeaks and Julian Assange release this information yesterday? And that's something that I was told was a priority, trying to figure out the timing behind all of this, because when you look at the history over the last 8 months, certainly of WikiLeaks and how it puts information out, typically, according to the investigators and intelligence officials that I've spoken with, some of the disclosures have been linked to certain events. And so that's something that they are really paying close attention to now.
And Jeff, you have touched on this prior to the release of these documents. Just how aware were intelligence agencies of possible breaches?
Well, we're trying to get to the bottom of how long before this disclosure was made, they knew that something was afoot and there was some sort of suspicious activity, giving them an inkling that something was coming. So we're trying to dig into that a little bit more, but there was certainly a lot of people within the intelligence community who were not happy with this release. Certainly they were disturbed by this disclosure of information, but there are indications that they knew that something had been stolen. The question is, did they know the scope of the disclosure that was coming? And it doesn't appear that they did, but that's something that we continue to dig into.
WikiLeaks says the data was given to them by a former U.S. government contractor. How have intelligence agencies responded to allegations that this release could have been an inside job? That wouldn't be good.
No, it wouldn't be, and that's something that they have to look into, whether there was someone on the inside handing information to Julian Assange or whether there was some sort of hacking of computer networks somewhere along the way. WikiLeaks has indicated that the information came from a U.S. government contractor, former U.S. government contractor, or former U.S. government hacker. So the question is, was this an inside job or was this something else? Was there some sort of state actor involvement? And I say that because if you look over the last 8 months, there has been this concern on the part of U.S. intelligence and law enforcement officials that WikiLeaks is working with the Russians, that they were collaborating on some of the releases of this information. In other words, during the 2016 campaign, the Russians were carrying out cyber attacks and then handing the information that they had stolen over to WikiLeaks. So this is the tableau, if you will, of information and data that investigators are looking at. They're looking to the past, the recent past, the last 8 months, to figure out, well, where could WikiLeaks be getting this information? And that's where they are in this investigation right now. The CIA is not commenting on any investigation. They aren't commenting on whether the documents, the data has been authenticated. But if you just look at the way the intelligence community is reacting to this information, there is no doubt that some of these documents are authentic.
All right, Jeff, and speaking of the 2016 campaign, then candidate Donald Trump praised WikiLeaks for, quote, material it acquired from cyber attacks on Democratic Party officials. During a news conference Wednesday, White House spokesperson Sean Spicer had this to say. Take a listen.
There's a big difference between disclosing John Podesta's Gmail accounts about a back and forth and his undermining of Hillary Clinton and his thoughts on her on a personal nature and the leaking of classified information. There is a massive, massive difference between those two things.
All right, Jeff, so I got to ask you, what is the White House's stance now on the breaches?
Well, they're trying to make a difference here, but I think from a law enforcement perspective, there is no difference. And that's why law enforcement is looking into this. That's why the intelligence community is concerned about this. There is no difference. Either way, you're looking at stolen information. And so that's where investigators are looking right now, trying to figure out, well, where did this come from? Is there any connection to anything that has happened in the past?
All right, Jeff Pegues in Washington. Jeff, thank you.